The moment she said it, something crossed a line that had been holding for years. Your low-class background would embarrass my career. She didn't shout. She didn't need to. Her voice was polished, surgical, delivered like a fact, not an insult. We were standing in the doorway of our bedroom, the soft glow of her vanity lights outlining the diamonds she'd chosen for the gala. I remember the way she adjusted her earrings while saying it as if she were discussing weather. I said nothing. Silence is dangerous when it arrives uninvited. It forces truth to speak. I looked at her, really looked. The woman who once laughed with me over street food and borrowed suits now flinched at the thought of my presence beside her. The room smelled like expensive perfume, and something rotten underneath. I whispered, "Fine, have it your way." She smiled with relief, not kindness relief. That's how I knew it was over. The gala was everything she ever wanted to be seen in. A converted heritage mansion, chandeliers imported from Milan, a guest list curated like a weapon, only names that mattered, only faces that reflected status. Her firm was unveiling its mysterious new majority owner, a man no one had met but everyone feared. Power loves anonymity. I wasn't invited. She left that night wearing ambition like a second skin. I stayed behind in a quiet house that suddenly felt honest. I poured a drink I didn't finish and sat in the dark. Every corner held a memory she had edited out of her story. Every silence gave me room to think. She thought my background was low class. She forgot who built the floor she was standing on. The insult didn't break me. It clarified me. I replayed moments I'd ignored. The way she corrected my grammar in front of friends. The way she introduced me without mentioning what I did. The way she stopped asking my opinion once hers started being quoted. That night, something inside me shut its door. Love doesn't die loudly. It dies when respect leaves the room. I didn't sleep. I didn't need to. I made calls, quiet ones, calls that didn't ask for favors because favors implied debt. I collected confirmations instead, numbers, timelines, clauses. By dawn, the shape of her future was very clear to me, and it didn't include arrogance. She came home late, too late to notice I wasn't there to greet her. I pretended to sleep, let her believe she was still in control. Let her float on applause and champagne, and the illusion that the night had crowned her. Revenge requires patience and precision. The next morning, I left early. By the time she woke up, the unraveling had already begun. It started small. That's how panic prefers to arrive. Her firm's main account was frozen pending review. The gala photos vanished from social media under a quiet legal injunction. A sponsor withdrew, citing reputational alignment issues. Nothing dramatic. Nothing she could scream about yet. She called me at noon. I didn't answer. By evening, her voice had changed. The confidence had cracked. She came home early, heels in hand, mascara untouched, but eyes frantic. "We need to talk," she said. I nodded, calm, detached, already gone. She didn't know it yet, but everything she had built rested on foundations she never bothered to inspect. Mine. She spent the night pacing, refreshing emails, rehearsing explanations to people who had stopped replying. I lay beside her, staring at the ceiling, counting breaths like a man attending his own wake. The next morning, the real blow landed. The firm's board requested an emergency meeting. The mysterious new majority owner wanted a private audience. Her hands shook as she dressed. Fear is ugly when it meets entitlement. "Come with me," she said, suddenly remembering my existence. "Please," I smiled. "Your background might embarrass them," I said gently. She flinched. That was the moment she realized something was wrong. They arrived at the house together. She burst through the door first, pale, trembling, eyes scanning the room like prey. Behind her walked the CEO of her firm, a man she'd practiced flattery on for years, now visibly uneasy. Then the owner stepped inside. He didn't look powerful. He didn't need to. He looked at me and stopped. The room fell silent. He smiled and said one sentence. "Good morning, sir. I didn't realize you preferred to keep your investments so domestic." My wife's world collapsed without a sound. I stood slowly, not to intimidate, to confirm. She turned to me, confusion spiraling into terror. Her mouth opened. No words came out. I'd always told her I worked in asset management. I never said whose. I shook the owner's hand, firm, familiar. "I prefer transparency," I said. Eventually the CEO swallowed hard. He finally understood why his emails had gone unanswered, why the accounts had frozen, why the gala had vanished like it never happened. My wife sank onto the couch. I watched her discovered a truth piece by piece like glass entering skin. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse, I listed facts. The firm's expansion funded by a shell she'd never questioned. The shares quietly transferred over years. The controlling interest she'd toasted to without knowing who held the glass. I owned the company. I had always owned the company. She had married beneath herself. She thought she had been living above her. Stationed the entire time, the CEO apologized to me. The owner, my proxy, stepped aside. I dismissed them both. This wasn't about business anymore, this was personal. She cried then, not prettily, not convincingly. She reached for me like I was a lifeline. She had cut herself. I didn't know, she whispered. I was under pressure. You don't understand. I stopped her with a raised hand. I understand perfectly, I said. You didn't think I mattered. Silence again. Heavy. Final. I didn't take anything from you, I continued. I simply stopped protecting.